Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. Today I have a new Regina's Haunted Drive-In, and we are going to be looking at a movie with a book tie-in, Dead and Buried, that came out in 1981. So I have a lot to say about this, but before we get to that, I wanted to talk about a couple things in my library. I've been doing a little redecorating, or at least acquiring some things from my shelves, and mostly from like thrift stores and that kind of thing. So I got a Scooby-Doo mystery machine. I found this in my local, it's a little antique row in my town. So I was really happy to find this. And then of course I had to go on eBay and buy all the action figures. So there's Scooby-Doo, here's everybody in the mystery machine. I'm doing a whole reorganization. So I'm doing my, younger adult, Nancy Drews, that kind of stuff on its own shelf. I also got a Lament configuration cube. And this one does kind of come apart. I don't want to play with it too much. I don't want to bring demons into my library. I mean, not yet anyway. I'm going to be doing Hellraiser this summer for my drive-in with the book because it's one of my favorite horror films, so I have to do it. And what else? And I also got this really cool pillow last night. I found this at a street fair. So I might try to find more of these. This is really fun. So anyway, I've been doing a little redecorating. I also wanted to mention that I'm starting to do a read-along, a buddy read with my friend, my online friend Alex from Hey Little Thrifter. And I'm sure a lot of you know her channel. It's wonderful, so check it out. I'll link it below. We are going to be doing a buddy read on The Reaping by Bernard Taylor. Now, we both read his other work, Sweetheart, Sweetheart. She actually recommended it. I bought it and loved it too. So we're really looking forward to this. I'm going to try to do a vlog, a reading vlog, which I had never done on this channel before. So I'm going to start this tomorrow. I'm finishing up a couple other books that I'm reading. I'm still working my way through Edward Gorey's biography, which is really good. It's just long. And then I'm reading another book that I'm going to be doing a review on. So anyway, let's get to Dead and Buried. This film, this is the third time I've watched it. I saw it when it originally came out. Now I'm pretty sure I didn't see it at the drive-in. I would have been in college when this came out in 1981, like my freshman year. I know I saw it in the movie theater, probably with a couple friends. I don't really remember, but I do remember being really scared by it. This is not like a fun kind of horror film, unless you really have a sick sense of humor. No judgment, but I don't find it fun because it's really quite terrifying. A suspenseful horror film set in a small coastal town where, after a series of gory murders committed by mobs of townspeople against visiting tourists, the corpses begin to come back to life. It stars James Farentino, Jack Albertson. Jack Albertson, this was his last film, and Melody Anderson. There's nothing fun about these kill scenes. Where a movie like The Funhouse, you can kind of laugh at it. There's no laughing in this film. I mean, at least for me. From the first time I saw it to I watched it again a few years ago with a friend, and he really liked it. And watching it just now, the murders are horrible. I mean, it begins with a guy on the beach, and it looks like it's supposed to be New England or something, although I read that they shot in California, maybe Northern California. He is taking pictures of driftwood, and when his camera suddenly finds this gorgeous woman, and it pans up, and she's this sexy blonde, she lures him into this cove, and they take some more pictures, and then suddenly he's surrounded by a mob of, they're just kind of, they look like normal people from the town, but they are normal people from the town, but they start to surround him, and they're all taking photographs of him, very just deadpan, taking photographs, taking little home movie cameras, and end up burning him alive. And that is probably one of the most horrifying scenes I've ever seen in a film. It's really, really horrifying. I mean, the guy's stuck in a net, and he's screaming this horrible scream, and these people have no mercy. And then I don't want to give too much of the plot away because there's a lot of these really harrowing kind of scary scenes, and there's two more with this actor involved, and you just feel for this guy. He's being tortured through this whole film. So basically, we and the audience becomes aware that all the townspeople, at least not all of them, but at least this group that you see are in on this murder spree. So whenever a hapless tourist wanders into this town called Potter's Bluff, they're murdered in like a horrible way, and then they come back to life. So James Ferrantino plays the local cop. He's kind of like a Brody from Jaws. And James Ferrantino, I remember this actor. He was kind of sort of in that Al Pacino school of acting, but he wasn't like a major star, but he did a lot of television and B movies and stuff, and he had a long career. And he's really good in this film. So he plays this small town detective trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And his wife, who is Melody Anderson, she is this gorgeous actress I remember from being, she plays, I forget the name of the character, and she plays Flash Gordon's girlfriend in Flash Gordon, the early 80s. And then she kind of dropped off the map as far as acting. Maybe she decided, I don't want to be an aging actress in Hollywood. Hopefully she went on to have an amazing life, but I really couldn't find much more about her past the mid-90s. But she's really good in it. So the acting is really good. And for Jack Albertson, you probably remember him from playing Grandpa Jack, is it, in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the first film, the Gene Wilder film. But he had a really long career. I mean, he was like a vaudeville actor, real pro. And this movie is his last film. A lot of the great old stars had their swan song performances in B horror movies or low budget films like or television, like a lot of the movie of the weeks that I love. I'm going to do a whole movie of the week series. I've got so many plans for my haunted library. It just takes a lot of time to do it all. But I would love to do a playlist just on movies of the weeks, because they were my life's blood back then. But I'm thinking old movie stars like Joan Crawford in Trog, or the great Edward G. Robinson, whose last film was Soylent Green, which is a great movie, not putting it down, but you see these major Hollywood stars, and they kind of end their career in these horror films, which is kind of interesting. It's like the Grand Dame Guignol school of cinema, which, of course, I love. So what else? James Ferrantino is kind of running around this town trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And his wife, sort of she seems really innocent at first, and she's, like I said, very beautiful. And he's kind of drooling over her. And she is a teacher in the local school, but she's teaching, it's the creepiest classroom scene I think I've ever seen in a movie, where she's teaching her class about witchcraft and voodoo, and she has books on the occult. So it's kind of like it's a little bit like a murder, like a serial killer mixed with zombies, mixed with the occult. And the whole film, it has a very dark tone to it. The story's very dark. Like I said, it's not like a fun type of horror. The tone of the film is dark, and it has a dark look. It has that, everything's kind of shot through mist. This was a kind of a style that I saw a lot in the 80s. I probably like Adrian Lyne, who directed 9.5 Weeks, kind of perfected this style. It's as if they brought the fog machines in before they shot every scene. So you really see that, even in the interior scenes, there's a misty quality to everything. And I think that's really well done. It has an artistic sense to it. I like the way this film is directed. Apparently this was a big hit. They said it was from the creators of Alien, Bring a New Terror to Earth. I think it was the producers of Alien. I remember this poster. This poster is really cool, and I think I remember seeing, I probably went to see it because it said Alien, and this poster looks to me like more science fiction. It's very cool. The poster really has nothing to do with the movie, except that there's it looks like they could be buried. But that, to me, that's like a real sci-fi kind of fantasy image, which is really cool. It's a great poster. I'd love to have a huge version of it. Maybe I'll splurge now that I'm on a kind of a redecorating scheme here. So let's talk about the book a bit. I found this on eBay. I was really happy to see this. This is a novel. It's not really a novelization of the movie. It's based on the screenplay. So these are all the people involved in this story. So I have read quite a few of these novelizations based on screenplays and movies, and usually they're pretty basic, you know. But this one, I stopped reading at one point, and I'm like, I have to find out more about this author because it's so good. She's such a good writer. There's a part in the, and it's in the film too, but there's a part where this family kind of wanders into this town. They're lost. These people are driving around the town. It's dark. They have an accident. They run into a tree, and they go into this abandoned house. They think maybe someone lives in the house. The wife's like, I saw a light. They go into the house, and they get surrounded by the mob of zombie back from the dead people. And that section of the book is so good. I mean, even though I knew it was going to happen, I was on the edge of my seat reading this. And when a writer can really do that, that's a good writer. So I was so impressed with this writer, Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough, that I did a little research into her. And she was a real professional writer. I mean, like, not as famous as Dean Koontz, but she wrote a lot. And she wrote the Saint Germain vampire series that came out in the 70s, which I have heard of, went on Amazon. They're kind of out of print. They're on Kindle, but the actual books, like the hardbacks, were really expensive. But I'm going to start looking out for those because I'm really intrigued, and they looked really great. And she was good. I mean, this whole scene that she created with this family fleeing the zombies in the book, it's good in the film too. In the book, it's so good. It's written so well. I did go on eBay and find a cool book by her, though. This is called False Dawn, and I just love the cover of a wolf with a bloody mouth on a motorcycle. I mean, I'm just so intrigued. And he's also got a shotgun in one hand. If anyone knows anything about this book, let me know. I'm definitely going to read this. I just have a lot on my stack right now, but I'm very curious about this writer. So I would recommend this little lost gem, Dead and Buried, from the early 80s, for anyone who's more into like an extreme horror experience. It is not really fun horror unless you're a little twisted. Smile. And speaking of twisted, smile. Let's see what Batilda thought. Okay, Batilda, cut it out. I thought it was fantastic. And it really made me think about some different changes I might do in my life, like start a new career in photography, or maybe even nursing. Okay, well, thanks, Batilda, for that insight. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for stopping by our Haunted Drive-In, and we'll see you next week. Bye.